In this video, we're going to take a look at the area and circumference of a circle. So for the area of a circle, so let's just write this down here. So for the area, using A here to represent the area, the formula for the area of a circle is given as pi r squared. Okay, where r here is the radius. Okay, so that's pi times the radius squared. Now pi here, hopefully you are familiar with this. This is the mathematical constant. It's 3.141592. I can't remember any more digits, but that goes on forever. And you will have a little button on your calculator with pi. Okay, so when you're working out a question like this for the area of a circle, do use the pi button on your calculator. Okay, so that's pi there. So that's the area of a circle. Now for the circumference here, so for the circumference, we might not recognize this word here, but you will understand what the circumference represents. So the circumference is the perimeter of the circle. Okay, so in other words, that is just the perimeter of the circle. Okay, so for the circumference then, the formula, so if I say C here represents the circumference, well, there's two ways that we can represent the circumference of a circle here. The first way is pi times the diameter, so pi d. And the second way is 2 pi r. Okay, so 2 times pi times the radius. Okay, but it doesn't matter which of these you use, it's completely up to you. I typically like to work with pi d, but like I said, that is, it's completely up to you. But what I would recommend is whichever you choose, generally speaking, just stick to that. Okay, so that would be if we want to find the area and circumference of a regular kind of full circle. So what about if we have, for example, a semicircle? Okay, if we have a semicircle, we have a semicircle here, that would be half of a full circle. Okay, so you might sometimes be asked to find the area and the circumference of a semicircle. If you are asked to find the area and the circumference of a semicircle, then because the semicircle is half of a regular circle, what I need to do then is take the formula for the area and half that, and we do the same for the circumference. So for the semicircle here, my area is just half of this area here. So the area here, A, is going to be equal to pi r squared, and we divide that by 2. That would give me the area there, and then the same for the circumference here. Again, if I just write this down over here, so for my circumference, again, it will just be half of either pi d or 2 pi r. So again, using C here to represent the circumference, it will either be pi d divided by 2. It will be 2 pi r divided by 2. If you take 2 pi r and divide it by 2, you simply get left with pi r. Okay? So in that case then, if you're looking for the circumference of a semicircle, it is generally speaking easier to use this form here of pi times the radius, but you wouldn't be penalized if you were to use this as well. So pi times the diameter and divide it by 2. Okay? So that's everything we need there for our introduction to finding the area and circumference of a circle. So what we're going to do now is just take a look at some exam style questions for the area and circumference of a circle. Question 1 now, we've got a circle which has a radius of 4 centimeters. So we're asked to find the area of the circle, giving our answer to 1 decimal place. Because we're looking for the area here, let's just recall the formula for the area of a circle. So the area, if I say this is A here, is equal to pi r squared. Okay, so the area is pi multiplied by the radius squared. So here in this question, the radius is 4 centimeters. So in that case, then my area here must be equal to pi times the radius squared. So that's going to be 4 squared. In that case, the area here is pi times 16. So 4 squared is 16. In that case, then the area is going to be 16 pi. But here, we want the answer to 1 decimal place. So all you need to do now is put this into your calculator here. And what you should get then is 50.3. And just be careful for the units here, because we're working in centimeters, because we're talking about area here, that would be the units squared. So that would be 50.3 centimeters squared there. Okay, and there we have it. So that's our solution there to question 1. Moving on to question 2 now, we've got a circle which has a diameter of 10 centimeters here. So we're asked to find the circumference of the circle, giving our answer to 2 decimal places. So because we're looking for the circumference of the circle here, let's just start by recalling the formula for the circumference of a circle. So we'll see here for the circumference is equal to, well, there's 2 ways we can express this formula. It's either going to be pi times the diameter, so pi d, or we can write this as 2 pi r. Okay. Now, like I said in the introduction here, I like to just stick to one of these. I like to work with pi d. However, if you prefer to work with 2 pi r, that's absolutely fine. But in this question anyway, we've been given the diameter, so it's easier to work with pi d. We know the diameter here, that's 10. So d in this case is 10. What I do then for the circumference here is I just take pi and times it by the diameter, which is 10. So in that case then, for the circumference here, we're going to get 10 pi. But we want our answer to 2 decimal places. So what I need to do now is put this into my calculator here. So in that case then, for the circumference here, 10 pi, what I'm going to get to 2 decimal places is 31.42. And just be careful here with the units. So we're working in centimeters. So we don't square for the circumference here. This isn't an area. This is just the total length. So it's going to be 31.42 centimeters. It's just the same units that we're working in here. Okay. And there we have it. So that's the solution there to question 2. Moving on to question 3 now, we've got a circle which has diameter of 8 meters. So for part A, we're asked to find the area of the circle, giving our answer in terms of pi. So to begin with here, because we're looking for the area, let's just recall the formula for the area of a circle. So A is given as pi times the radius squared. So pi r squared there for the area of a circle. And we know the diameter, that's 8 meters. Obviously, if we want the area here, we need the radius. So if we know that the diameter here is 8 meters, that means the radius will be half of that, so the radius will be 4 meters. So in that case, then we can find the area here. That's going to be pi times the radius squared. So the radius here is 4. So pi times 4 squared. So A here is equal to pi. 4 squared is 16, so that's pi times 16. So therefore, for the area here, if we've got pi times 16, we want to give the answer in terms of pi. That means we're going to have 16 pi there. Okay, so don't forget the units. So this is the area, but because we need units here as well, we know the units, that's meters. So 16 pi meters squared. Okay, because it's area, don't forget the units are squared. That's the area, so that's pi A done. For B then, we're looking for the circumference of the circle. So let's just recall the formula for the circumference. There's 2 ways we can express the formula here for the circumference. We can write this as pi d, so pi times the diameter, or we can write it as 2 pi r. Okay, whichever you prefer to work with here. I prefer to work with pi d. So in that case then, the circumference here is pi times the diameter, which is 8. So pi times 8. In that case then, for the circumference here, we're going to get 8 pi. We get 8 pi, and again, don't forget the units, we're working in meters here. Don't forget the circumference is the total length. So because we're working with a total length here, it won't be squared or anything. It will just be the units that we're working in. So we get 8 pi meters there. Okay. And there we have it. So that's the solution to question 3. So if we take a look now at question 4, we've got a circle which has an area of 100 pi meters squared. So we're asked to find the circumference of the circle, giving our answer to 3 significant figures here. So the first thing that we can note here is the area. The area A here is equal to 100 pi meters squared. 100 pi meters squared. And we also know the formula for the area of a circle. So A is equal to pi r squared. So if we know the value of the area here for this circle, we also know the formula to work out the area of a circle. What I can do is just equate these here. So in that case then, pi r squared is equal to 100 pi. So pi r squared is equal to 100 pi. And what I want to do here is try and find the value of the radius here, r. Okay. What I want to do is solve for r here. Well, the very first thing that I can do is divide both sides by pi. If I divide both sides by pi, it'll just get rid of pi on both sides. What I've got now is r squared is equal to 100. And what I want here, like we said, is just the radius. So I just want r. So to go from r squared to r, we need to do the opposite of squaring. And I need to square root both sides. So square root both sides here. If we take the square root of r squared, that would simply give us r. And if we take the square root of 100 here, the square root of 100, that would give us 10 there. So the radius here is 10. And what units are we working in? We're working in meters, so that would be 10 meters. Okay? So we've got everything we pretty much need now. We know the radius, so don't forget we're looking for the circumference of this circle. So for the circumference here, what's the formula for the circumference? Well, there's two ways we can express that. So see here, we can write this as pi d, so pi times the diameter. We can write this as 2 pi r. Okay, either of these work. So I like to work with pi d. So I've got the radius here, which is 10 meters. To find the diameter, we just double this, so we just times it by 2. In that case, then the diameter here will be 10 times 2, giving us 20 meters there. Okay. So the circumference here, we've got everything we need now. That would just be pi times the diameter. That's going to be pi times 20. That would give me 20 pi. We get 20 pi there. But do notice the answer needs to be to 3 significant figures. So all you need to do now is just put this into your calculator. So what you should get here then to 3 significant figures is 62.8. Okay. Now don't forget this is for the circumference here. So in that case, then this is just a total length. So it won't be squared. It would just be whatever units we're working in, which is meters. We get 62.8 meters there for the circumference of the circle, giving us the solution to question 4. So if we take a look now at question 5, we've got a semicircle which has a radius of 4.5 centimeters. Now we're asked to find the circumference of the semicircle, giving our answer to 2 decimal places. Now, for the regular circle, the circumference here would be pi d, or we could write that as 2 pi r. Okay. But we have to be slightly careful here because we don't have a full circle, we have a semicircle. Okay. And remember, a semicircle is half of a full regular circle. So in that case then, there's 2 ways to think about this. I can either take pi d and divide it by 2, or take 2 pi r and divide it by 2. So like we said in the introduction, I think it's easier to work with 2 pi r, divide that by 2 for the circumference of a semicircle. The circumference here that we're going to use is going to be simply pi r, okay, because we've got a semicircle. Let's note that here. In this case, we've got the radius, r is 4.5. So the circumference here, c, will be pi times 4.5. What you need to do here is put this into your calculator because we need to give the answer to 2 decimal places rather than a multiple or in terms of pi. So 4.5 times it by pi, and what we get here then is 14.14. What units are we working in? We're working in centimeters, so that will be 14.14 centimeters there. Okay, and there we have it. So that's the solution there to question 5. Moving on to the very last question, now we've got a semicircle which has a diameter of 14 centimeters, and we can see that here on our diagram. Now we're asked to find the area of the semicircle, giving our answer to 2 decimal places. So let's just recall here that the area of a circle is given as pi r squared. Now we do have to be slightly careful here because we're looking for the area of the semicircle. So remember, the semicircle is half the size of a regular circle. In that case then, the area here will be pi r squared divided by 2. Okay, so we've got the diameter, that's 14 centimeters. We now want the radius. So the radius here, well, remember the radius is half the diameter. So the diameter is 14 centimeters. That means the radius will be 7 centimeters. Okay, the radius is 7 centimeters. So we've got everything we need now. All I need to do now is just substitute it into my formula here for the area of the semicircle. So A is going to be equal to pi times the radius squared. That would be 7 squared. And we divide this by 2. Well, 7 squared is 49, so I'm going to get 49 pi divided by 2. We get 49 pi divided by 2. And all we need to do here now is just put this into our calculator here. So giving the answer to 2 decimal places, I get 76.97 there. Don't forget the unit, so we're working in centimetres here again. So that would be 76.97 centimetres, and because it's area, that would be the unit squared. So it would be centimetres squared there. Okay, and there we have it. So that's the area of the semicircle. That gives us the solution to the very last question, and that brings the end of this video on the area and circumference of a circle. So in the next video, we're going to take a look at exam revision for circles.